to the second hour of the broadcast, and thank you for staying with us. As earlier hinted, we'll be focusing on Kenya's deployment of police officers to Haiti. Before we get to that, we just want to listen in to what the Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki had to say today on Kenya deploying police officers to Haiti, where he said this will only happen if Parliament approves. He was speaking on Sunday, where he noted that the request by the United Nations has to be approved by both the National Assembly and the Senate as required by the Kenyan Constitution. The Cabinet Secretary was speaking after attending a church service at St. Andrew's SEK Ndenderu Kiamba constituency in Kiambu County. The United Nations Security Council had on Monday, October 2nd, passed a resolution to deploy an international security force to Haiti, led by Kenya.
Kwa mujibu wa sehemu ya 240 ya katiba ya Kenya, Article 240 of the Constitution requires for the President to deploy any forces outside the country, whether it is Kenya Defense Forces or any other forces that constitute organs of national security. Parliament must approve. And the use of the word Parliament is deliberate. It is Parliament as defined to include the National Assembly and the Senate.
Okay, so that's the Interior Cabinet Secretary speaking to the process before the deployment of Kenyan police officers to Haiti in that intervention that seeks to rid the country of the gang violence. Now, let's get right into it. And I'd like to introduce my guests who are joining me in studio. A lot has been said about the police deployment by Kenyans. We now want to hear from the Haitians about their views around this particular deployment, some inconsistencies they think should be aligned even as we seek for the successful deployment of the police officers. I'll start with Gail Custer. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Kenya. Karibu.
Asante.
You've definitely gone for your classes. Thank you so much. She's the Executive Director of Sefan Foundation, Inc. in Haiti, and equally a member of the Castle organization. We appreciate your presence.
Thank you for
Thank you so much. Equally joined by Dr. Natalie Frederick Pierre. Thank you so much for your time. She's an assistant professor of history at Howard University. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So we'd like to begin with perhaps a deeper understanding of the historical connection that Haiti has with this organized gangs. So perhaps, Daktari, help us understand the historical perspective. What exactly should Kenyans know as we send the forces to Haiti? I understand there was a UN peacekeeping mission that was deployed to Haiti in 2004 after a rebellion. Tell us more.
So you want me to begin? I will begin at the beginning.
Okay.
So Haiti was birthed as an African revolution in an indigenous American country, and the indigenous name of Haiti is Haiti. So on the birth of the nation, Africans who are originally from the Congo, the DRC, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, those people made the decision to honor the indigenous people's land who were stolen by colonizers, Spanish and French. And they named the country Haiti. And in retaliation for taking their independence, France and all of the other Atlantic world powers in the 18th and 19th century punished Haitians with economic embargoes and diplomatic isolation. As your viewers probably understand, without diplomatic relationships, that makes your people suffer, and it has been 220 years of deliberate punishment for liquidating assets that French people thought they could hold in people. So that is the launch point. And the gangs are a continuation of that, but I'll let my colleague pick up on that point.
Thank you so much, Dr. Frederick or Natalie. It's an honor to have her because one of the things is we both Haitians and we both grew up in a different part of Haiti. So I'm so happy to have someone that knows the experience, that know the country as I do. To add to what you have said, you mentioned the 2004 intervention. So from what the Natalie just said, the 2004 intervention happened with the coup d'etat that Aristide, Jean-Bertrand Aristide had. And the resolution, I think it's 1529, the UN resolution that allowed them to come to the country to impose an embargo. It was an armed embargo and then a freeze on the assets of certain people because of the coup d'etat. So from 2004, we have had this presence. But even before 2004, in 1993, right after the coup d'etat, they came to Haiti. The UN sent a mission to come to Haiti to try and establish some sort of peacekeeping mission. It didn't work. But in 2004, they led the mission with the Brazil troops. I think it was 5,000 Brazilians that went to Haiti with 20,000 US troops to try to have the peacekeeping. Now, from there, we saw it was a fiasco because when they came in, they were supposed to help the national police to train them. They were supposed to reestablish some sort of security in the country. It had, at that time, a period type of security, but it was not real because we still had guns that was evolving at this time, that was not where they are today. And we had a serious issue with human rights because some of the UN police were killing people left and right, and we didn't have the way to make them accountable. And another thing that happened around that time was the fact that there was a lot of rape and kids that were born from these UN peacekeeping police officers, and their term was every 6 months. It was renewable. So after 6 months, you go to your country and nothing happened. There's no responsibility. But now, right after this 2004, they left in the country in 2017. So 13 years of them coming, doing nothing. It did not resolve anything. Things started to get worse once we had the murder of our late president, Jovenel Moïse. And from there, the gang started this emergence that we never saw before. Because, throughout the history of Haiti, we had several type of gang group. But this one that we have, this disease that we have right now, has become apparent and just there in our face. And for 2 years now, we have seen a rise in everything, gun violence, destructions of infrastructure that we don't even have anymore. Because since 2010, with the earthquake, we had lost a lot of stuff, and we still don't have no clean water. We don't have a healthcare system that is working no more because so many doctors have been raped or kidnapped, so hospitals are closing. So we are in a dire situation, and we are in a humanitarian crisis situation that needs immediate solution.
So, Dr. Natalie, as you come in, perhaps what would you point out as the inconsistencies by the previous UN deployment? Why wasn't it successful in any right? What led to the mission's inefficiencies?
Absolutely. I think part of the reason the UN mission was unsuccessful was the people who were recruited to do the occupation, they knew nothing about the country. So, as Ms. Castor said, it was led by Brazil, and because Brazil led this peacekeeping mission, Brazil's power as a geopolitical entity rose. And my understanding, that might be part of what's happening with the Kenyan situation, which we can talk about the merits of that later. But so these Brazilians, these Chileans, and these Nepalese soldiers arrive in a country, they do not speak the language, they do not respect the culture, and in regard to the Nepalese, they unfortunately, because of this disregard from the top down, they were defecating in Haitian water, which introduced cholera to Haiti. Cholera is an illness that had not existed in the Western Hemisphere for hundreds of years. So this cholera takes over, and I think the most recent estimates, around 800,000 people were affected and over 10,000 died. So when you are telling Haitian people that we are coming here to protect you, and you're giving us cholera, and the water that was infected was also the water that sources the rice plains in Haiti. So not only are you giving us illness, you are taking away our food sovereignty in addition to imposing violence on us. So these types of relationships, they're not isolated to the 20th century, because the first formal occupation began in 1915, and in the past century there have been proxy occupations, and unfortunately Kenya is going to be added to that long list. So I sincerely hope Parliament do not vote yes on this.
Okay, this is quite worrying, because one would assume Haitians would be welcoming to perhaps the idea of peace, but now if we have so many reservations before this deployment is actually done, it definitely points to inconsistencies in the bigger picture. And perhaps that's why, Jean, Kenya is struggling to justify the risky intervention and the wisdom in sending police officers to face the hardened guns. From where you sit, especially with the background of the gangs, what sort of control do the gangs yield in the country? Are they well coordinated? What will our police officers be walking into? Do they operate as silos? Tell us a little bit more about the current gang menace in Haiti.
Before I intervene on that, I wanted to add in what Mr. Natalie had said.
Yeah.
One of the things that you can also observe in all these deployments that are been throughout many years in Haiti, the solution that they are bringing is not a Haitian solution. It's a solution that they think that we need. And then when it come in, they have this disconnect between the society, the Haitian society, and them. So you cannot come to my house and dictate me what I need without even knowing what I need. At least allow me to tell you. So that's one thing that's very important, and I think that we are repeating that again. Because again, like Ms. Natalie said, the Nepalese, they went and defecated in our water. They had no regards for our culture. Now you have Kenyans, and I came in this country 2 weeks ago. I went around the neighborhood and I was introducing myself as Haitian, and they're looking at me like, is it Jamaican? So they had no idea what Haiti was. So if you have no idea what Haiti was, or you don't speak the language, which is not French, it's Haitian Creole, you don't have the culture sensitivity, so this is a remedy for disaster, because you can't communicate and you're gonna do the same thing that they did before. Now, going back to your questions about the structure of the gang. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not part of the gang, so I cannot tell you like strict design or composition of the gang. But from what I know is they're well structured. They have a head, and then from the head they have several subordinate, and they have territories that they control. Now, how do they get themselves so organized like that? Because they have a sort of organization. Now, this, from my understanding, we had several gang members from the US especially that has been sent back to Haiti. And this mixture of gang members that was operating at the highest level, doing kidnapping, raping, and so forth, and trading with, so now mix it with the locals, have given you a sort of structure. And then there's another thing that happened. We have, I think, Secretary Merkel, if I not remember her name right, she went in Haiti and then merged the gang into a confederate, G9, G10, whatever they call it. However, this is a very sensitive and difficult situation. When you merge any group together, you enforce them. First, they were fighting between them. Now you tell them, oh, we gotta put you guys together, so you gotta have a common agreement. For what perspective, okay? So now we have these groups, even though certain operation that they do it separate from each other, like the killing, the raping, the kidnappings, each of them will have their own little group because they have to have money. So they have to do these things to obtain money so they can have more ammunition, more guns, to control more groups or territories.
Well, that's definitely worrying. And as you add your voice, Doctor, because what's the state of the Haitian police then? Because we've definitely talked about the gangs. They're well organized and definitely rely on finances to advance their agendas. What's the state of the Haitian police? Are they well trained? What about the ammunition resources and whatnot? What's the state?
So from my understanding, the Haitian police, they received some of their training in part by the New York Police Department. And this is a very important point to put out there, because the New York policing model, it is touted as the best model of policing. But right now, as we speak, in New York, we have officers who are suing the NYPD because of racist tactics, right? So let's hold that in our mind for a moment. And it's this training that was outsourced to Haiti. Here's a plot twist. One of the leaders of the gangs is a former Haitian police officer. So he was essentially trained by people from the US, so he understands how to organize, and he understands how to use the legacy of the Haitian Revolution to attract young people into his camps. So the funding that was supposed to go to Haiti after the earthquake, it was completely squandered by the international community, right? So all of these funds that were pledged, it should have gone to the young people in Port-au-Prince, but with the absence of infrastructure that was destroyed by the earthquake, with the absence of the funding that was promised, what are their employment options? Gangs. And as Kenyans, you all understand this. Our young people, they get recruited into terrorist organizations like Al-Shabaab and gangs. So there are similar processes that are happening all across the African diaspora. And we have former colonial powers who are asking us to resolve an issue that they created, and they are making us fight against each other. The next point that I want to make is, the last I checked, Haiti doesn't produce guns. Haiti doesn't produce bullets.
Indeed.
So all of these weapons are coming from the United States. So we all know that in the US, gun violence is absolutely outrageous, but our legislators in that country are unwilling to challenge the gun lobby because the gun lobbies finance their campaigns. So it's not necessarily the state of the Haitian police. My question is, where are the Haitians getting these guns from? Is there a way that internationally we can be lobbyists against the powerful gun lobbies in the US, because Haiti does not produce guns or bullets?
That's an interesting way to look at it. But before we cross over to Eugene, it would be proper to note if the police has been infiltrated by these gangs. Is there an element of corruption that we cannot truly rely on the police to protect and serve? Well, what's the state?
The police do not have the same level of ammunition as the gangs.
So they're outgunned.
They're outgunned, and yes, they're outnumbered, and they also, unfortunately, because of the way the infrastructure of the country works, they do not get paid on time. So there's no incentive for them to step in, even if they had the equipment necessary.
Okay, well, add your voice to that.
And I would add to that as well, it's we need to do some vetting. We have to vet our police officers, because I do believe that from all this Dr. Natalie have talked about, so the incentive that they do not have, that the gangs also give them, because certain of them are receiving this incentive to participate, because we have seen several missions that have failed. Several police officer mission that has gone to dismantle gangs, they have failed. These people have died, they burned them, and it's a whole, very sad situation. So in a sense, we can say, yes, the police officers, some of them are tainted, and we can also say that some of them are loyal to the vow that they took to protect and serve. And why I'm saying that is because we have this movement that appeared a few months ago. We call it in expression, the Haitian expression, wakale, which I'm not too sure how to translate. It's like it's a population type of movement that, when they find those Presumé type of gang, they kill them, it's lynching, it's burning. So it's one of these movements that the population started doing that kind of put a start of a stop, not totally, but a kind of an apparent type of stop into the kidnapping for a certain time.
Okay.
And that was also in accordance with some of the police officers. So the police officers definitely, we need some venting to just making sure who we can trust, who we cannot trust.
Now, Gail, still with you on this, because Amnesty International Kenya urged UN member states to thoroughly examine the mission's human rights and humanitarian implications before that deployment. I'd like to engage you on some of these impending implications. From where you sit, what are they and how exactly can they be avoided?
I think that we have seen throughout all the missions that have been in Haiti, that human rights is something that has been violated in all levels. We have human rights violation in Haiti with our police national as well. So in the case of Kenya, I'm thinking that like Aki, Africa, and us, and Kasil has put it together to put the same effort that they're putting to put the security system in place, to put a sort of coalition that will go out there and make sure that, you know, we have human rights respect, we respect the sovereignty of Haiti, because that's very important. We held not only the Haitian police, but also the national police or any type of foreign intervention accountable for what is going on. Because so many years have passed where we just let them go and do whatever they want to do. So I think this is important to have that. There's another thing that I want to say, because whenever we talk about this situation, it seems like it's never mentioned that the Haitians had come up with a solution. There is something called the Agreement of Montana. The Agreement of Montana was a coalition of organizations, civil organizations, community organizations, and some politicians that still have some credibility in Haiti that put their heads together in August 30th, 2021, and they came up with an agreement. And that agreement says clearly what all these organizations that came together wants and define in bullet points what they want to see. So it's not about intervention to dominate us, to go back to what we had in 2004 or even before 2004, like a sort of colonial type of coming and dictating what to do. But in that agreement, I think it's important for the Kenyan community to read that and to understand that we have a common accord in understanding that this is a Haitian crisis, that it needs a Haitian solution. So it should not be separated where it's you coming as an intervention and then the community has to follow, but it's a symbiosis between the community and whoever is leading this. In the case of Kenya, when Kenya comes, there has to be that symbiosis. And you can find this document, and that will help, all these levels that we are trying to avoid because of this document.
Okay. As you come in, what sort of framework do you think is needed in order to ensure that, Kenya's domestic police record, which has been put into question in terms of excessiveness of police, how do we ensure in terms of a framework that these excesses do not taint this mission's objectives? Because as she mentioned, we need to ensure accountability, we need to ensure oversight. What sort of frameworks are needed?
So I want to unpack this concept of human rights. So the Haitian Revolution births this concept of human rights because the major argument of the Haitian Revolution is one man does not have the right to own another man. So that's my first point. The second point is the U.S. as a major financer of UN missions, they are a chief violator of human rights violations. Though they do not publicly say this, the U.S. has political prisoners. So we have people who have been incarcerated for over 5 decades for trying to protect their people. Indigenous leaders, Black Panther leaders. So for the U.S. to present itself as a protector of human rights, it's absolutely outrageous. Now, I am not familiar with the human rights violations of Kenyan police officers, but when the people who I have spoken to, they immediately laugh when I say that these people are going to come into my country to protect our people. So let's have a conversation amongst ourselves as African people. What does it mean to protect the people who are within our communities? And then to first start doing it at home, demonstrate that you are a model, and then try to outsource that. From my understanding, just this past November, Kenyan troops have been deployed. Are the mothers, are the daughters, are the fathers of those troops not concerned that that their children are being sent out into the world to have these massacres on their shoulders? So it's not simply a question of what mechanisms need to be put in place, because the mechanisms, the definition of the mechanisms are hypocritical myths.
That's an interesting way to look at it. But equally, I want to challenge you, because earlier on you urged members of parliament in Kenya not to give the go-ahead in terms of deployment of police officers. But just listening to the Kenyan Defense Cabinet Secretary, he had this to say, that Kenya has a very long history of global peacekeeping. Kenya was in Kosovo, in Namibia in Africa, DRC in Africa, Somalia as well, and we currently have officers in Tigray. So long story short, he seems to believe that the Haiti intervention aligns with Kenya's national security interests. So why don't you give this mission a chance?
Do you see what's happening in Tigray right now?
Yeah,
all of the human rights violations that are coming up. The DRC, Western countries have been looting their minerals for decades. And this is the reason the DRC is in the position that it is in right now. Until we can stop the people who want to extract goods out of African nations sending troops into those areas, they're not going to be successful. Because the things that they are sent to the DRC to protect, for example, Western countries want those diamonds. Western countries want the coltan, right? Because all of our fancy smartphones rely on the coltan that is in the DRC. So, to just flip the question a little bit, it's not the people of those countries who are responsible. It's us who have our beautiful fancy phones. Because if we did not require these technologies, we would not be signing off on the plundering and the massacres of those people. So what, and this is a sincere question, the Kenyan troops that were deployed in November to the DRC, what has been the result? What has been the result? So if we cannot have a positive assessment of what Kenyans are doing, literally in their backyard, now you want to push them to another side of the world. They do not speak the language. They do not know the culture. And you want to put them, and here is my sincere fear. All of these gangs, sometimes they coordinate amongst themselves, right? Okay. But oftentimes they're fighting against each other. I guarantee you, as soon as the Kenyan police are brought down, they will unite against the Kenyans.
So they'll be looked at as outsiders.
Exactly.
Okay, so this puts, well, Kenyan police officers in a tricky situation, because here we have people who have interacted with the country, its people, who are saying this might be a recipe for disaster. We might be walking in blind. So let's talk about some of these underlying factors that perhaps Kenyans need to know about Haiti. Because you mentioned there are Haiti problems that need Haiti solutions. So what are these underlying factors that we need to critically understand? Because it's not just a matter of boots on the ground. It's a matter of winning the hearts and the minds, that battle of the heart and the mind. So it's not an us versus them, you know?
And I think the first thing, I'm going to go back to what Dr. Natalie has said. I think the first thing that we have to make sure we all understand is this portrait of Haiti has, we are poor people, can defend that ourselves. We need to get that out, because like she mentioned at the beginning, we were the first black nation to step in and said men should be free of slavery. You should live like a person and not be owned by anybody. So we had fought against the biggest army in history, the army of Napoleon. So we can take care of ourselves. So let's get that straight. Second of all, if you want to come and help someone, you have to know that person. You have to know the person's culture. You have to know the person's language. You have to know who that person is, identify. Because yes, we have a common thing. We all black. That's good. But we differ on how we live and see. So the third one I want to add again is like, do not come and think we don't have a solution. Again, I'm going back to the agreement of Montana. We have a solution. We have people that have put themselves together and said, okay, this is what we think that could be good based upon the interaction that we have between Haitians. Again, this is a Haitian crisis that needs a Haitian solution. If you are coming and you want us to welcome you, sit and talk to us. Go to those who we have until now trusted, because there's also the legitimacy of this government that we have here that we have to question, because he's the one that's been requesting, you know, this international intervention. We need to understand what's behind it, because when the convoy went in Haiti, they didn't have time to mingle with the community. They went straight to the prime minister and then they left. So what are we doing? Again, like Dr. Natalie said, you have seen these people going to countries where they're protecting the assets of those that are on top. So what are you coming to do? That's the question. You have gone to so many places. We are happy that you have gone and helped. But every country have their own situation. Every country have their own history and their own things. What is your agenda? Or what is the agenda? Okay. And do you understand it? Because they're the agenda and the agenda of the Haitian people. So if you want to do good, you better get in our agenda.
And I just want to add something. So I was in Haiti during the 2010 earthquake, right? And a point that I like to put out there is the first responders were Haitians themselves. I literally watched people use their fingers as bulldozers trying to take bodies out, right? And the UN peacekeeping mission was there. I saw them. I tried to interact with them. Israeli soldiers, no English. French soldiers, no Haitian Creole, right? So we have seen that these people, when it comes time for crisis, they are trying to protect assets, and assets that are not controlled by the Haitian people.
So in short, we should control or try and prevent the loss of lives. Number one, not just controlling assets of the high class in society, but equally those who are affected most. Well, this is quite interesting. So Parliament is set to decide on this particular move to send troops to Haiti. Your advice to the parliamentarians, because at the end of the day, they're the final, how do I name it? They're like the gatekeepers in terms of sending troops to foreign countries. So since they'll be evaluating this move critically, despite UN okaying, what issues should they look at as parliamentarians in order to lead as leaders, you know? Yeah.
Well, I am new to Kenya. I will be honest, like the doctor said, I'm not well versed into those issues that pertain around the police officers of Kenya. What I can say is, if you're going to look at this mission, look at it in all integrity. Look at it in the fact that you don't know where you're going, you don't speak the language, you do not really know the agenda. And you need to look at it as well as, is your response is going toward the response that the Haitian people are looking for? Because if it's not what we're looking for, then again, like we all said, is a recipe for disaster. So we have seen that happen in 2004, we have seen that in 1993, and so forth and so on. So what are you going to do differently this time? There is an agreement, there is coalition, there is people on the ground that have worked the work that needs to be done to come up with some sort of agreement. It's there. Did you contact these people? Did you get in contact with them? Who are you working with? So these are the questions that I think that needs to be addressed. And of course, you know, we welcome any help. We welcome the help of our people, but it has to be a help that is directed to basically helping the community, not the assets of anyone.
Okay, it would be impossible to talk about, you know, peace and security without the political aspect. So in terms of expectations of the Haitians when it comes to the political state of the country, must this mission be accompanied by a political transition from the current Haitian government, which by all terms is unelected since the 2021 assassination?
You speak as if it's a foregone conclusion. I'm under the understanding that Parliament still has to vote. I think we should take a page from our cousins in West Africa, right? So the Nigerian president unilaterally said, we are going to go into Niger. And then the Nigerians are like, whoa, 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 whoa. We have a constitution, and you cannot unilaterally make this decision for us or ECOWAS. And as soon as the Nigerian people started speaking up, their senators started speaking up, and the president had to calm down with what he was saying. They're still evaluating the process in West Africa. So I think Kenyans, we should, well, you all should learn from our West African cousins. That's number one. The second thing, the Parliament, something useful would be to address this weapons question. Because if the ammunition stops entering the country, you no longer have a gang problem. If these gangs decide to go, decide to use, I don't know, the machetes that the Bouakale movement are using, they would immediately be eliminated, right? So these are some long-term solutions that the Kenyan government can actually make effective recommendations toward. Because Haiti's borders are so porous that these guns, they're coming from the US. If the US needs help securing its borders, perhaps that's where the Kenyan troops need to go and offer assistance. But the United States would never accept help from an African country in that way, right? So this $200 million that the US is offering Kenya for this service, it pales in comparison to the $110 billion that this nation grosses every single year. Kenya has the 5th largest economy. I have enjoyed driving around Kenya. The architecture is beautiful. Your country should focus on its people, on its power in the region, as opposed to taking this 200 million in comparison to 110 billion. That's peanuts. It's absolutely peanuts. There are other ways to recoup those monies. There are other solutions for Kenyans.
Well, it's not really about the money for Kenya. Perhaps what you mentioned earlier, especially with what happened with Brazil in the earlier peacekeeping mission, is the globe standing, the stature that Kenya will be looked at, having had, you know, perhaps a mission which will be successful, or hopefully will be successful, in Haiti. So perhaps that's the bigger picture.
And see, and that I will push back against, because Swahili became the language of Pan-Africanism in the US. There is a holiday that we celebrate there called Kwanzaa, and we adopted it from the Swahili language, right? Yeah. So Kenya already has this standing. This mission will tarnish it, because across the African diaspora, especially in the Americas, Haiti holds this beacon of Black sovereignty. To have the nation that is known worldwide as the language of Pan-Africanism to serve as the proxy of US and core nation interests, that will actually destabilize Kenyans' prestige around the world.
Okay, that's well noted. Add your voice, briefly. Yeah.
I totally agree with Dr. Natalie, and one thing I will add, there is that resolution. The resolution 2653 is a resolution that they put on, the UN put on, for the embargo on arms. So my thing is, if it is already exists, it needs to be reinforced. So that's what we have to call, because like she said, you cannot kill a snake by cutting its tail. You have to cut the head. Once you get those guns and munitions away from them, then you can actually come in and say, okay, I'm gonna do some sort of security solutions. But until then, until we find out who is giving them these guns, who are giving them money and orchestrating all this, then we are just sitting into a bomb-ticking type of situation to explode. And again, we don't want that for our Kenyan. But like I said, we have to wait until to see what the Parliament says.
Definitely, they hold the last say. But on this arms issue, it's two-pronged approach, because we definitely have to take a look at the porous borders, as you've mentioned. But equally, what do we do about the guns that are already in the country? And I think one of the agendas of the Kenyan police is disarming of these gangs. Has this been tried before? What sort of approach would be successful in order for this to truly...
There was a program, I remember around the 2013 or 14, I'm not recalling correctly. There is NUD, which is a part of the UN. They came out with a program to get guns from, you know, those little, at that time it was small gangs from different little neighborhoods from Haiti, and they were giving them money. This had a level of success. Yes, some of them really came out and said, hey, listen, I'm gonna give you this gun and then you're gonna give me the money. They did their little stores. Some of them started a little business. However, what we also observed, because at that time I was an interpreter for the UN, what I would observe is some of them will not give the real guns. They will make fake guns and give it to the US so they can get the money. So there is this part. Is there a willingness to give the guns or to? I don't see it happening, because like I said again, Dr. Natalie says, as soon as you get into Haiti, we unite, because now we have a common enemy, because we do not know what you're going to do. You understand what I mean? Yeah. So this idea of these guns gonna suddenly disappear, it's not gonna happen. The best way is to apply the resolution of the UN with the embargo to stop their own people from sending, because again, like you said, we do not manufacture guns in Haiti. We do not know how to do guns. They don't even know how to spell the name of these guns that they have. So we need to cut that, and it needs to be straight up. Then after this, identify the regions where these gangs are, how the infrastructure is, who can intervene, how we can intervene, and how we can get the community to help us. Because without the community, you can really get into where they're at or do anything, because the community is the one that sees them every day, that recognizes them, that knows them. So their part is very important. Again, this is a Haitian solution that we need to look at in the light of the Agreement Accord of Montana.
So how do we make sure the Kenyan police officers are not looked at as outsiders? Because it's we need a Haitian solution for the Haitian problems, but here we have a country that's willing to assist. So how do we ensure they assist in the right way? That's sort of what I'm trying to ask.
No.
There's no way?
No, there's no way, because, so the $200 million might not be an important point for Kenyans, but for Haitians, we are viewing it as the US is paying Kenya to suppress Haitians. Full stop. That is how it is being interpreted. So the arms agreement...
So let me ask you this. Haitians are not up against the gangs, are they?
They cannot... What do you mean?
Like, are they against the gangs that are in the country?
They are against... Yes. Ms. Castor just told you about the Boakale movement, where they have tried to fight against them, but because of the type of equipment the gangs have, the popular uprising can't do anything. And I just want to point something else out. So today is Sunday. In August, 2 religious leaders led their parishioners into gang-controlled areas, telling their parishioners, if you have faith, the bullets will not touch you.
Yes.
And they were massacred. But I guarantee you that will continue happening. These are Haitian solutions. But again, Haitians do not produce guns. Once that issue is resolved, and this is where Kenya might be helpful, can we talk about how to protect Haitian borders so that these guns aren't coming to our country? Or to help the U.S. protect its borders so that these guns are not leaving the country? Final point. The indigenous name of Haiti literally translates as land of mountains. This idea that Kenyan soldiers are going to be able to go into a mountainous country, like a lot of mountains everywhere. These gangs can quickly disappear into the mountains, and that was actually one of the strategies that helped Haitians during the Haitian Revolution, during the first US occupation. So there is no way that the Kenyans are not going to be seen as outsiders, particularly because of the awareness around that $200 million figure.
Okay, so locally we have something called a nyumba kumi. You know, it's sort of approach used by police officers to ensure they work hand in hand with the community members to ensure they weed out the bad characters in the community. So if such an approach is used, if they work closely with the community, which they have to sort of ease them into the idea that Kenya is here to help, would this then be successful?
We can envision different type of scenarios. Yeah. The fact of the matter is, it's very complicated. It's not that easy to just come in, because again, you are teaching your troop to speak French when, you know, we speak Haitian Creole. So how are you gonna win the heart of someone that you can interact with? Okay. So, and that's the basic, you know, steps, is to be able to communicate with the person. So again, I do not think that it's just, are we going to win the heart of the Haitian itself? I think it has to go through a structure. It has to go through a group that the Haitians believed in, empowered to help them, and then from there establish what it is that you're going to do and see if that aligns with what the Haitian needs. For me, I think that's the best solution, best approach.
Okay, all noted. Well, all things said and done, it definitely is all up to the Kenyan members of parliament. They'll have the final say. But as we finalize this discussion, just final words, perhaps to the Kenyan population who are watching. They definitely have concerns around what you've mentioned, that we might be going in blindly, not really understanding not just the terrain, as you've mentioned, but equally the psychic of the Haitian population. So, all things said and done, what advice perhaps would you give, final comments as we finalize this important conversation that has definitely shed light on the history of Haiti, their people, and the challenges they're facing currently? Yeah.
So just two final points. The language issue. So I understand that the troops are trying to study French. A better option would be to study Haitian Creole. And there is an app that one of my colleagues developed with Duolingo. It's Haitian Creole. Okay. So if this has to go through, and again, Parliament, vote no. Duolingo will help them learn Haitian Creole. The second thing is, oh no, it's actually 3 points. The second thing is, social media is such an informative tool. I would encourage all Kenyans to look under the hash Hands Off Haiti, so that they can see the discourse coming out of the country, so that they can be aware of what it is that Haitians think the problem is and possible solutions. And my final point will be this: if Parliament makes the mistake and sends Kenyan troops over, I want all of the family members of the troops who come back in coffins to make a big stink. Because this is not fair to Kenyan families, to send your children into a situation that Haitians on the ground, Haitians right here are telling you it's not a good look for this country. Each Kenyan officer who comes back injured, those families need to make it a public outcry so that legislators are voted out in 2027.
The only thing I can add is that, yes, the language, again, We're going to reiterate that, and I've been saying that all over. The culture as well is an important factor to look at it. And third of all, I think that there is a solution. It's on the table. It's known, and we need to look at it. And the agreement of Montana is one of them. And I'm urging the Senate to take a look at this to see what we have come up with and how we can get a solution that will, ease this coffins and coming back, missing pieces, because this is what we want. We want the Kenyans to go in if they have to go in, if you deem as Parliament that they have to go in, and to do something that is good for not only them but only us. But in order to do that, you have to know what we need. So I'm urging you to look at the agreement of the Montana and see what was said and how we can get this in a better way and a better solution.
Well, we definitely appreciate your input, ladies. Definitely a lot of work needs to be done, clearly, in order to prepare if this will definitely happen. Because they say failure to prepare is preparing to fail, So thank you so much for your input. We definitely appreciate the insights from outside looking in, as Haitians adding to the voice in terms of Kenya, trying to assist, but we wouldn't want a situation where we're walking in the dark.
Definitely.
So asanteni sana, that's how we say it right here. And it's definitely starts a conversation right here in the country in terms of what we're intending to achieve and how we will achieve it. Because we definitely need to work hand in hand with the Haitians who are part of the solution, even as we try and read the problem. Thank you so much, Dr. Nathalie Frederick Pierre, who's an assistant professor of history at Howard University. Thank you so much for your time. Equally joined by Gail Custer, who's executive director of Sefam Foundation Inc. in Haiti and a member of CASIL organization. That brings us to the end of tonight's edition of Checkpoint. Hope you're adequately informed. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a fantastic start to the week. My name is Jesse Rogers. Good evening.